Okay, hi everyone, my name is Donal. It's great to be here again this year. About 7.5 years in recovery, completing about 6.5 years at this stage. And it's great to be on the board. I was elected to the board last year in Denver. And today I'm just going to talk about some of the issues facing conveners. Generally, there's a number of different various issues that arise with conveners and in terms of existing meetings and when we look at setting up new meetings. So it's just running through a lot of these different topics. I think the aim here is to maybe raise some issues for discussion throughout the day, and maybe stuff that we can tease along, and throw out some ideas and look at what those issues are and possible solutions to them and various challenges that there are. So, is there any way I can bring this up? Yeah. So there are a lot of different factors involved with meetings, a lot of considerations, the suitable venue, finding somewhere that's treatment centre, private premises, then looking at conveners, having standby conveners, rostering for conveners, identifying people that are suitable to convene within your meeting, the actual meeting format itself, that it sticks to the LifeRing philosophy, the various literature that's essential to a meeting and for the conveners and for the attendees. The signage that should be in place, again for the convener and for attendee, and looking at the actual mechanics of the meeting itself in terms of meeting connection, donations and so forth, book sales, and also, like I say, the main challenges setting up meetings. So really, this is really to inform and identify topics for further discussion, not just today, but we can continue the conversation onward from this. So really looking at the venue for meetings, so finding suitable locations. With a treatment facility, hospital, community centre, it's typically good access, the catchment implied, patients there's a critical mass of population of people that need recovery. If you're looking for a venue, then you might be alternative, maybe a commercial premises, maybe a hall and an office, a spare meeting room, and other considerations will come into play there. In terms of suitability, is it suitable for a recovery meeting? This may be questionable, so some care will have to be taken regarding the actual complex or the office building itself, as to whether it would be an appropriate location to hold a meeting. For the meeting room itself, general considerations in terms of access and just general layout, if it's suitable, furnishing, seating accommodation, and just the basics that could lend itself to a proper meeting environment. Basics like tea making, coffee making, all the better. So with conveners, the 6 month rule, 6 months sobriety, as we all know, is required. Finding a backup convener once the meeting is established is a difficult thing. And it can be difficult approaching new conveners within your group. Finding somebody that's suitable will step up to the plate. But it is an important step with any meeting. It's important, and this is covered in Hours a Week. There is a lot of importance attached to having a backup and passing on the baton, as it were. Eventually, it's time to move on and let new convener take over, and that's how meetings progress and branch out. It's important to LifeRing that works and that's ongoing.
Donal,
yeah.
When you say 6-month rule, what do you mean by that?
6 months sobriety.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, they're just the basic one. In Ireland, we have had a bit of an issue where there have been some conveners. We've got 1 or 2 people that have, relapsed, and ourselves, we've decided that probably 6 months in that situation is not long enough. They just need a year. So we have our own rule, but we know that the general rule is 6 months before starting a convener. So just outline it there. Rates up there. Some groups or some meeting areas may take their own position in terms of that there is a convener that has relapsed a number of times. Maybe 6 months just isn't enough for them, for their own sake, before they resume convening again. That's something we discussed at our own committee level back in Ireland, and we found that was the best way to go forward. And on the end, if they feel they're ready to resume convening. General meeting format, the LifeRing, that forms the basis of LifeRing, the circular route, the observance of the 3 S's, and keeping the meeting reasonably on topic. I think the whole philosophy around LifeRing is to throw ideas. There's a lot of crosstalk. The whole concept of crosstalk is what's unique about LifeRing. But at the same time, there has to be some sort of tie-in with how it affects your recovery and how is this impacting on your recovery, or what's coming up for you that may impact your sobriety and so forth. So just there has to be some, in terms of the meeting, there's some sort of tie-in on how this topic is maintained. And also the importance of welcoming newcomers, and that's something we've covered already with newcomers. And that's where there is an established meeting, there can be very often there'll be a core of attendees that know each other very well, and that situation where you have people coming on board that don't feel alienated, and that it doesn't get too cliquey, and bring their attention at the start of the meeting and welcome them. And we're going to have the opening statement now. If you listen, to give an overview of how the meeting works. We have a very straightforward format. And just go through all that at the very start. We find that works very well. And the basic how do we format, going around the room. Timekeeping can be an issue. Some people, particularly when they're new, may be reluctant to share at the start, but once they do, they can sometimes take over the whole meeting. And if you had 2 or 3 of those people before you know where you are, the whole meeting is taken up with maybe just, there's still like most of the room left to share. So that can be a difficult one. There's a few ideas been thrown out. Last year we looked at it as well, about maybe how to try and move a meeting along, start the direction, or just maybe interrupt, or just say now just to finish up. There are other things that we could maybe look at. And if there's any disruption in a meeting or anything that's getting a bit antagonistic, there can be other areas. I'm just running through these basically. The signage, particular, depending on the type of meeting, it may be appropriate that you can have permanent signage at the building entrance. That would be like a permanent feature. It would kind of give some sort of sense of permanence to the meeting on the sidewalk. Outline room number and so forth at the meeting times. It would give I suppose some sort of sense that there is a permanence to the meeting and that they can be relied on to be there week to week. And also from, just the other point of view, directing to the actual run internal side, which is the guidelines here, all that kind of stuff is very important so that people know where they're going and there's no mix-ups. And just within the meeting room itself, some of the signage could be put up just outlining the objectives, the entrance room, that kind of thing. These kind of signs that we use back in our just within the room itself. Literature for conveners, the guidelines, the preamble, open statement. There are certain adaptations to this, whatever may be appropriate or differences may be appropriate for your own meeting or area or institution where you're holding the meeting. Closing statements, and then literature for the attendees. Ideally well displayed within the room, adds legitimacy to the actual whole meeting, along with the books. Some introductory literature for newcomers, such as LifeRing and much else we may have. This is day one. We want to be a platform. And also local meeting information, all this kind of stuff clearly displayed, all this helps for newcomers. Meeting selection, generally towards the end of the meeting, and then depending on the meeting, you have your own system of how you deal with collection and where it works for, but it should be outlined to new members and people at the meeting why there is a collection and what it's for. The room and basically the way we expect it. It's made clear to people before we hand around the basket, but that's what it is. And to encourage donations, either through the online or in the meeting itself. With other sources of revenue, the book sales, and ideally what we have is a number of books in the meeting room for sale, and have those displayed. Or alternatively, direct attendees to make them aware that they can purchase the books online and so forth. So setting up a new meeting, a lot of challenges involved, identifying the right area, locality. As I mentioned before, perhaps there may be no meeting in an area or an existing meeting outgrowing its venue. That's the hope, and just to expand and move on. So, approaching a venue provider or facility treatment authority is something that might be very daunting. It's really looking at how we can help people to make that move, and what can we do as an organisation to help members who are keen to set up a new meeting. What can we do to assist? A standardised approach, maybe a template letter, or here's what we can do. A snapshot of LifeRing's credentials, history, objective, have it there just as an offering. Offer the testimonials and success stories, and here we have one good example already this year. And there are ongoing challenges for conveners. As I've said already, maintaining reliable backup is really important. Someone can be depended on, show up, so forth, set up if you can't. With a new meeting, it can be very difficult to grow and build momentum if it's over-reliant on just one person for too long. So that's why it's just such an important thing. And it's not easy. And a meeting can fail quite easily if it's just down to one person. It's not growing, it's not moving, it's not building up numbers. And unfortunately, that's why a lot of meetings, we've seen it back in Ireland, they just fall by the wayside, and it's difficult to get that critical mass and get it going. So then there we have, these are some of the areas that we looked at last year as well, and there are always issues that do pop up and they have to be dealt with sometimes on an individual case-by-case basis, but they do present difficulties. Attendees under the influence, inappropriate or off-topic sharing, advice givers, and this is something we encounter quite a bit, I suppose. Attendees clearly using LifeRing as a means of harm reduction. We are about sobriety and complete abstinence, and often when you have people coming back time after time, you find that there is, questionable commitment to remaining abstinence and how good that is for the rest of the group. And it's sometimes a difficult conversation to have.
Can I comment on that?
Yeah.
I don't want to turn people away from life because of that. That's a discussion we've had over and over again, and how to deal with that.
Yeah, it's
know?
difficult. And we've had quite a few cases of it back at home, and it's really difficult. You know.
I would rather have, to me personally, I'd rather have people come to the meetings and see what we're about, and we lead them into the path of total sobriety.
Yeah.
So that we probably need to make a statement about that. I can't say, don't come if this is happening. I don't want to say that.
Yeah, it is difficult.
Well, I think where you want to draw the line is advocating harm reduction. We don't advocate harm reduction. We advocate abstinence. So if someone is coming into the meeting saying it's okay to do just harm reduction, that's not okay. That's not what we do. They can advocate for themselves with a goal of that sort of thing.
Yeah.
To me, that's where the line needs to be drawn.
Yeah.
Any projecting.
Very often when you do have the discussion, although it can be difficult, when you actually talk to these people, it becomes clear that there is a wobble and there is questionability surrounding their commitment to it. And you just have to say, look, this isn't good for the movement. We are about complete abstinence. On the other side, there are people that are genuinely trying. And it may take them a long time to get into sobriety, and they're having a lot of slips, and that's a different situation. It's a difficult one.
And there are organizations that do use the harm reduction model. So it's not like we're saying it's not right for you, but here's where you can go.
Yeah, yeah.
What organizations do that?
Harm reduction and moderation management and PAMS.
Well, the other thing that I sometimes say when people come in, they're new, you know, I mean, I didn't have 100% commitment on day one, right? And so when I say that we believe in abstinence, on the other hand, we know that in the beginning you may not be ready to fully commit to that, or you may not be capable of sustaining that commitment. You know, and we understand that, but in the long run, we are an abstinence-based, that's our base for so it gives them some time to figure it out.
There probably needs some more discussion on that, because I feel that if somebody has a glass of wine once a year for celebration, is that denying abstinence and denying sobriety? Or what is that?
It's a personal thing. If they say it in public, yes, you know, this is an abstinence-based organization.
Okay.
You know, the goal is to, because you have a problem. If you don't have a problem, then why worry about it?
Yeah.
But you've got a problem, maybe, and you probably want to engage in drinking.
But I think if you get that person that wants to preach the harm reduction, then they really do need to go to a group where they're going to feel comfortable doing that. That's a better fit for you.
Yeah.
If they're intent on that, then it's nice to have an option and not say, well, I'd rather have them control and not have as many DUIs.
Exactly. Right.
You know, so for some people, I think that's great to refer.
Yeah.
It's completely appropriate for some people.
Very often they just won't commit either way, because they're just in denial.
That's true.
You know?
I'd say one glass of wine and one DUI a year is probably
Yeah. That's over the line.
I mean, so yeah, that's really about it. It's really about opening up topics for discussion here. Everything I've covered here, and maybe there's other things that need to be raised while we're all together. Yeah, like I say, it's an opportunity for new ideas, like we're doing, throw it out there, and continue the conversation.
I love the way, like 20 years later, we're still having these conversations.
That's great. Yeah, but it's ongoing.
It's not a stagnant organization.
No.
But that's it. That's all I have. Anybody?